Okay, this is the second part of the video. The first part is where we found this equation, so have this equation handy. As we saw, this is really just the slope formula, but our denominator is going to be h. That's the distance between those 2 points, and we're going to see what happens as those points come together and the distance becomes 0. So have that formula handy, and here's how it's going to go. First of all, let's have the formula handy. I'm not going to write the limit part of it. We'll just use that at the end. It says the limit as h approaches 0, and we'll just worry about the limit at the very end. So it's going to be f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. Well, we have to remember how function notation works. If I, for example, I'm just going to make up a number, have f of 5, whatever is in parentheses, that's what gets plugged into the function. So f of 5 means find this function, plug in 5, and you get x. 5 squared is 25. Well, we're going to use that same logic, but we're going to use it on something that's a little bit trickier. So I'll show you that in just a second. Well, we want to know what the slope is going to be at the point 2, 4. So every time we see x, we're going to use 2, and then f of x is going to be 4. We'll use that in this formula. So let's go through first, and let's just plug these in. If I have f, I know my x value is going to be 2, so I'm going to call it 2 plus h minus f of 2, and we can figure that out in a second, all over h. So the first thing I did is I just plugged my x values in. Let's go back to that logic that we talked about before, where whatever is in parentheses, that's what gets plugged in. So even if it's complicated like this, that's what we're going to plug in. So I'm going to go to my function, which is x squared, and I'm going to plug in 2 plus h. So 2 plus h. X was being squared, so I need to square this, minus f of 2. If I take 2 and plug it in, I get 4, so minus 4 all over h. Well, I still can't plug in 0 into my denominator, so I need to simplify a little bit more. So I'm going to FOIL on top. When I rewrite this as FOIL, it's going to be 4 plus 4h plus h squared minus 4 all over h. I'm going to circle the parts that cancel out. Here's a positive 4, here's a negative 4, so those are gone. Here, in the numerator, I'm just going to rewrite it. We have h squared plus 4h over h. You can either see that h is going to cancel out of everything, or it's not a terrible idea just to factor an h out of the top and get h times h plus 4 all over h, cancel, and I'm going to get h plus 4. Well, now let's bring that limit part back into it. If you remember our formula, we're going to take the limit as h approaches 0. So as h approaches 0, we just get 4 for an answer. Well, a good question is, what in the world did I just do? Well, what you just did is you calculated slope. If I had the formula y equals x squared, like that, and we go to the point 2, 4, which I'll just kind of estimate over here, you calculated the slope. So what we're saying is that if you go to the point 2, 4 and find the slope at that point is going to be 4. Let's try it again. How about you pause the video, try example 2, and then I'll work through it right afterwards. So pause it, see how far you get, and then then I'll work through it with you. Once again, we have f of x plus h minus f of x over h. So we're going to take our x value and plug it in. So I have f of 3 plus h minus f of 3 over h. Okay, the tricky thing to plug in is this 3 plus h, but it goes for x right there. So we're going to go negative 3 plus h squared plus 2 minus f of 3. If I plug in 3, I can either look at my point or figure it out. Looks like it's going to be negative 9 plus 2 is negative 7. So be careful. It's minus f of x, which is, in this case, a negative 7. So minus the negative 7 all over h. Okay, something's going to cancel out, but I have to FOIL in order to do that. So I'm going to go negative. When I FOIL that, I'm going to get 9 plus 6h plus h squared plus 9 all over h. Or now let's simplify this. Looks like negative 9 minus 6h minus h squared plus 9 over h. Let's highlight the parts that cancel out. I see a negative 9. I see a positive 9, like that. So I have negative h squared minus 6h all over h. We can factor an h out of the top. If I do that, I have h, negative h minus 6 all over h, and cancel. This is the part where the limit is used. If I want to write it right below, I have negative h minus 6, like that. Use the limit as h approaches 0, so the slope at that point should be negative 6. So if I graphed this equation right here, went over to the point 3, the slope at that point should be negative 6. All right, we can use this in another way. We can say just prove the overall slope of y equals 2x is always, always, always going to be 2. So let's use our little slope formula. We have f of x plus h minus f of x all over h. Well, the thing that's different about this problem is that we don't have a specific number to plug in for x. So we're going to have to do this one a little bit more in general. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to this one, and we're going to take x plus h, and we're still going to plug it into our function right here. So I have 2 times x plus h plus 5 minus, now in parentheses, the entire function, f of x, the function, is 2x plus 5, like so, all over h. Well, let's simplify this. In front, I have 2x, I'm just distributing, plus 2h plus 5 minus 2x minus 5 all over h. Let's circle the parts that cancel out. I see a 2x right here. I see a negative 2x here. I see a positive 5 here, a negative 5 here. So what it boils down to is 2h over h, like that. Or in general, cross out, I just get 2. What this says is that it doesn't matter what x value you plug in, you're going to get 2 no matter what. All right, the third video will help the last section of your notes.